that will no longer be at a table. Mrs. Andrews?
Just a quickie, I'd like to add the Academic Advisory Committee onto this group, if that to be presented. I know you've actually.
Yes, it is. It's on there.
Is it on here?
It's coming next month. Next month, we're bringing it forward. So
Yes.
On March 11th.
for academic advisory. You're ahead of us. Yes.
So the next workshop is on infusion, and we have two speakers. So would you please come up to the podiums? Dr. Diaz, if you would go to the one on my right, and Mr. Muhammad, if you would go to the podium on my left. Yeah, have you cross the room. That's good. Yeah, we'll get it. Dr. Diaz, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm Carlos Diaz. I'm the chair-elect of the Hispanic Education Coalition and also professor emeritus in the College of Education at FAU. And I just want to make a few brief comments about the topic of infusion of African American, Latino, and gender studies. It has now been 25 years since that law was passed. And I look at that length of time and I ask myself, where are we? And I think the honest answer is the record is spotty at best. I want to speak specifically about three areas. The first is teacher training. In my 42 years in education, one of the things I've noticed is if teachers don't know a subject, or if they kind of know it, they don't teach it. So if you ask yourself, a principal hiring a new teacher, how do they know that that person has any background in African American, Latino, gender, and Holocaust studies when none of that is an area of certification? And parenthetically, you may or may not know that 2 years ago, the state of Florida eliminated diversity standards in teacher preparation. So when we get a new teacher, they're supposed to be implementing this, but we have no idea what their actual knowledge base is. Now moving on to in-service teachers and administrators. We have approximately 12,000 plus teachers and approximately 3,000 administrators. We give a lot of workshops in these areas. To my knowledge, every last one of them is voluntary. So what about the people that have to implement the mandate who don't volunteer to take the workshops? I worked for a couple of years in the Office of African American, Latino, and Gender Studies as a curriculum specialist, and one of the things that I heard over and over again is that we were essentially preaching to the choir. That's number one. Number two, where are our leaders? Because very, very few administrators ever bother to show up. Yet these are the people who are in charge of implementing the mandates. That's a concern. An additional concern is, if you look at where the workshops come from, there are three people in the Office of African American, Latino, and Gender Studies to fill a population of 15,000 plus. No matter how good those three people are, you can do the math. Second of all, I asked myself, what do students know at the end of 12 years in Palm Beach County in these areas of infusion? Is there a scope and sequence of curriculum that tells me this is introduced in first grade, this is in second, third, fourth, all the way to 12th grade? To my knowledge, there is no scope and sequence of curriculum that even tells you what the student has been exposed to, much less what the student knows upon graduation. Which brings us to the last topic, which is accountability. I think for the most part, the way this has been carried out for the past 25 years is because it's been a mandate without state funding and without accountability. But let me just pose a hypothetical for you. Assuming we're comfortable with what we're doing, suppose in this year's legislative session, the legislature were to add to the Florida standards exam 20% on African American, Latino, gender, and Holocaust studies. If what we're doing is fine, then we really should just go ahead and let the students take it.
Dr. Diaz, you're going to have to,
Yeah, okay, I'm finished. But I suspect that that would not be the case. We would be scrambling to figure out how to have students do well in that. Thank you.
thank you. Mr. Mohammed?
I want to start a little bit different. You know, most of the time when I come to this dais, I know today we've been bragging about graduation rates. And I say to you that if you're graduating students that are proficient in the same stuff that you've been giving them all along, it's not really doing them no good. And we understand as a result of this law being passed that it was supposed to be in all grade levels across all disciplines. I don't know nobody that know what that looks like. And I know that we need the help of the community. And I thought this workshop was going to be somewhat different because I thought it was going to be interactive with the community and with the school board so that we can see what's happening inside of our community as well as what you guys are doing in order to help create a safer environment, and that didn't seem to work. And it seems like every time African Americans are mentioned, they have to be in a pool with everybody, and we never get an opportunity to speak specifically to them or to us about our specific needs. And I have just one suggestion. I wish that you would tell our community about the error or the injury that has been caused by this Florida statute. And, well, it's been trying to be corrected by the Florida statute, but most of the people don't know what infusion is, don't know why infusion is necessary. I think if we had a clear understanding of what infusion is, why we need to do infusion, I think we'll have a lot better environment to work out of. And dealing with African Americans, we have the most complicated problem because we have a little over 400 and some years in order to do research and come up with the data that is necessary. Because everybody that I hear, even when I walk through your building today and I look at all of the stuff that you have up for Black History, there's a lot more to our history than what you're presenting for the past 25 years. I'm hoping that the you board members, if you can do an introspection and ask yourself, do you know? And most of you, I think you'll find out that there's a great problem in that kind of human mathematical equation. And I'm hoping, and my community is ready to assist, but we need you to kind of tell us the truth so that we can understand what it is that we need to do in order to better serve ourselves. And a lot of the people that possibly would help us, if they knew the value of the African and African American curriculum, the real value of it, I think they would be more responsive, and we probably get more people coming out when you have the superintendent task force or when you have other meetings specifically designed for us. Because when you look at the meetings that are designed for us, very seldom do I see anybody in this room in those meetings and to stay inside of the meeting and digest what it is being given to us as a population. And I just say, Mr. Dr. Fennoy, I wish we would come to our community and have a real community meeting and really have some real dialogue, because the conversation that we're having, these are just this stuff that we've been doing this 25 years now, and it don't really yield any kind of real advancements. And I know that that's what you guys want, and I think we're in a window right now because of the respect that we have for one another. I'm hoping that we can move forward. And I'll drop that off, some information, and I'll share some other information with the rest of you, because I know that we need some help that we're not going to get from this area. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Fennoy?
Yes, sir. This time I will turn over the infusion workshop back to the Deputy Superintendent, Keith Oswald.